This is such an honor to have you on my computer screen. I can hardly contain myself. Your movie is so fantastic, so moving, so beautiful. I feel like I need to like explain it because people haven't seen it yet. It's a movie that I feel like is about walls between people, between perception, between understanding. There's so many interesting things about the character Music, who is just played phenomenally by Maddie Ziegler, who I just like. I want to say she's the most talented person on earth, but I think you would give her a run for her money.
I agree with you, and I believe that too. And she's also the most professional person I've ever worked with, and we're really close. But she is so professional on set. She often does 2 or 3 people's jobs while she's being being the dancer or being my muse or being the character Music. She was often doing other people's jobs for them, and she's a real inspiration.
So she plays a special needs child who
someone on the autism spectrum who's quite low functioning, but she's non-verbal. She has a little echolalia, which means that she can repeat what you say to her, but she doesn't generate her own language.
I'm glad you explained that because it wasn't entirely clear what the prognosis was.
Yeah, maybe it was because I was scared. Maybe it's because I was scared that if I made it clear what her diagnosis was, that then I might offend somebody. But then I learned that there is no 2 people on the spectrum that are the same, that autism comes in absolutely every shade. And that when we sent it off to the Child Mind Institute to see whether we'd done a good representation, Maddie scored 100%.
Wow.
And both of us cried on that day. Because she had, the day before, she came for a rehearsal. It was the first rehearsal, and Kate was a little bit late, and Maddie arrived, and she was living across the road from me at the time. And I could see something was wrong with her. She was pale, and she was just unlike herself. And I'd known her since she was 11, and she was 14 now. And I was like, honey, what's wrong? Is there something wrong? And she just burst into tears, and she just said, I don't want anyone to think that I'm making fun of them. And I was like, oh, honey, like, I won't let that happen. I was like, I promise I won't let that happen. And your character is based on a real person that I know, and I'm teaching you all of his utterances and all of his tics, and as accurate a representation as that I know. And also, you can have Final Cut. I said, if there's anything in there that makes you feel uncomfortable, then you can have Final Cut.
Wow, that's an amazing relationship between director and actress.
I just would never ever. She lived a life of stress. Like her childhood was the most stressful childhood any child should ever have to live. When I met her when she was 11, I felt compelled to rescue her from that life and to protect her. And yet somehow it's almost like I threw her to the wolves by accident. We didn't think Chandelier was going to be that famous, and we didn't think that but we loved working together so much that, and it was magic when we did, that she ended up being my full-time muse. But I always said to her, I didn't want to be famous, and I hired you, and I thought I was going to be hiring different people every time for every video, but you got to tell me if you want it to stop, because it stops. Like, I feel responsible for your fame, and it's her fame. She's really famous amongst the little kids, and so like I have paid for her security and everything because she has real threats,
Wow.
And it's because of me. And here's me, trying to avoid all of that, and then I inadvertently I threw Maddie to the wolves, I think, is how I see it. But I also just tell her every day, if she ever gets tired of it, she can just stop. And that she's talented enough that she can stop for 2, 3, 5, 10 years. And if she wants to come back later, she still can, because she's that talented. That's what I tell her.
Wow. Well, I don't want her to stop. I want her to work her little ass off.
She doesn't want to either.
Yeah, exactly. The world will be a better place.
She said I was built for it. I love it. I'm fine with it. So
So
I'm
great.
like, some people are built for fame and some people aren't. And I'm just one that's not.
Well, let's talk about the genesis of the movie, the idea. How did this germinate?
Well, I guess it might have been maybe 15 years ago now that it plunked in just this story, short story, and I wrote it down. And then over the years, I had this fantasy of making it, but I I didn't think I was a director, and then I co-directed Chandelier. I directed another video a long time ago just by myself, and it was okay. And it was for a song called Pictures, which was a very old before I was very successful. And then it was like an okay video. And then I recorded Chandelier, and I co-directed it with Daniel Askill. And I was sort of unsure: am I just a singer with good ideas, or am I a director? And I wasn't ever sure. And so I kept Daniel around for all of the music videos because I wasn't confident. And then a few people started telling me, no, you're a director. You should do the movie by yourself. Like, you should do it. And I was very scared. But then the people that told me that they thought I was a director who I'd worked with as a, like, as a director, so Shia LaBeouf and Lena Dunham, I'd worked with them before. And Dallas, my very best friend, who's the greatest cheerleader of all and also my co-writer in the screenplay, um, they all said to me, no, you're a director. You're a director. And I was like, okay. And it was really a baptism by fire because I thought, well, look, how hard can it be? It could just be like making a music video, but every day for 40 days. and and truly it was. I mean, there's, it's different in the sense that it's a narrative, but all of the musical sequences were just like making like what I had done for my tour videos with different actors. And so I don't know, I just got the courage up. I just got divorced, and it was a horrible, horrible, painful relationship. And I had lost a lot of self-confidence during that relationship. And I think it was really Dallas that just said, you can do this. Because we went and saw La La Land, and I loved it. And he said, you could do that, you know. And I was like, do you really think so? And he was like, yes, idiot. And I was like, okay, I needed to be spoken to like that. So that's when I got in touch with actually someone at CAA, very nice, John Garby. He put me in touch with Vincent Landay, who's a producer for Spike Jonze, who's one of my favorite directors ever, and who helped mentor me through this process. And Vincent Landay had been his producer on Adaptation, being John Malkovich, Her, and these were some of my favorite movies. And I couldn't even believe he was taking a meeting with me. And I think another couple of years passed, wrote a better script. Then it was purely a narrative at that point because I really wanted to be seen as a director. Mm-hmm. And it was like my ego really wanted to be seen as like I'm a good director. And then everybody said, you're a fucking idiot if you don't make this a musical. It's like you've got a blank Scrabble ship and you're not using it. You're an idiot. And so, again, I needed to be spoken to like that. So I turned it into a musical, and then we got loads more money. We went from a $4 million budget to a $16 million budget, which is a very funny place to be, apparently, in the movie industry. You're either at 4 or you're above 30. So it was a very strange place, apparently. Although not for me, because I was like, oh my God, that's loads of money. I could do so much with that because I've been making like shit out of paper plates for most of my career. And so like to have this incredible, like actually have like an art director and a production designer and like someone who would make the costumes, like I felt super supported, like because I had been, I'd been doing everything myself really. And it was so great because Maddie, and my makeup artist, who's one of my best friends, she came on. She was able to come on and do all of Maddie's makeup and hair, and it was just like, I don't know, family. And Kate and Leslie were so so good. She was so not diva. Like, I was so proud and of her as a person, because I just thought, you have every right to be a fucking jerk, and you're not. And I cast all of them from Twitter. You know, I cast Maddie from Twitter for Chandelier. Then I cast Leslie because I saw him in Hamilton. And then so I tweeted him and said, "Will you want to be the star in my movie?" And he said, "Yeah." We had lunch and he said, "Yeah." And then I saw Kate singing on Instagram some Christmas song. And I was like, oh my God, she doesn't sound like every other white actress, like, who was trained at, like, in Broadway singing, which I hate, and I hate musicals. And so I was like, oh. So I tried to get a meeting with her through a mutual friend, and we had lunch. And then she said, I was born to do this role. And I said, would you cut your hair off? Would you shave your head? And she said, yes. And I was like, you've got it. You're in. So yeah, I cast it. And then one of the other, like, most beautiful we're introducing a new beautiful actor called Beto. And he plays Felix in the movie. And I found him on Twitter as well. I mean, it was just great fun. I love casting. I love designing costumes. I love designing worlds, and I love directing. I use attachment theory to direct. I tell them, like, what kind of strategies they have when they're under stress, or what their motivation is. Usually I use, like, attachment theory language, and so I found that to be a really useful tool.
What is that? Can you explain?
Yeah, attachment theory is attachment parenting is a parenting style. Attachment theory is a psychology that's relatively new. Like, I think 6. It was the first John Bowlby in the 60s. He did the strange experiment, or strange situation, where he monitored babies and their mothers. And he found that there were 5 different categories that most of us fall under in stressful situations. So there is dismissive, preoccupied. It was called fearful avoidant. It's now called disorganized. I think unresolved, and then what none of us are, secure. There is 50% of the world of America, if you discount poverty, is secure. But, no one in Hollywood. So I just help. I sort of explained that and the basis of what each character was, and then that's how I kind of communicated with them about their character and what their drive was, and that they were in their strategy at that time. They were in their dismissive strategy, or their preoccupied strategy, and so yeah, I love psychology, and it is the most cutting edge, like, form of psychology that is just beginning to start taking over the world, and I adore it, and it helped me so much directing.
In addition to the narrative, there's 10 interstitials, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's so fun. I have to ask, because some of these outfits are just, like, so wackadoodle, and like,
I designed all of them except for but Christine Wilder, she made them all. But I did drawings of all of them and sent them to her, except for, I think, mountains. She did mountains. And she definitely improved on my idea of O-body. And I love costume design. So I can't do it, I can't make it, but I can draw it. So that's what I did, and she just made them look expensive.
I wanted to ask, like, do these visions come to you, like, at night or during waking hours?
Both.
Really?
Just whenever. They plonk in. Because I watch television almost incessantly. I sleep about 7, 8 to 10, 12 sometimes hours, but all the rest of the time I'm watching television. And I rarely leave the house, even before quarantine. And so, but for me, it's work, because that's when all the ideas come, is when I'm watching television.
Huh. So interesting.
So that puts me into, I guess, some kind of alpha state. It's auto-regulating, and my mind's able to just be like, and then the ideas come in.
I definitely noticed a little bit of that old Hollywood dance number kind of,
Berkeley, that's
yeah.
that his name.
Was that an inspiration, or did that?
When I was thinking about Chandelier, it was, and my original treatment for Chandelier was much more Busby Berkeley. But yes, I mean, I have been inspired by his work, but not in particular in this situation. Listen, when it came to time to create the interstitials, the musical pieces, I would give a very loose direction to Ryan, the choreographer, and I would say what we were trying to impart during the narrative. I also went back after, at the very end, when we were editing, at the very final point of editing, I went back and I changed a bunch of lyrics of the songs so they supported the narrative. And actually that was when, a person had come to one of the first cuts, and then he came to the next one and he said, "Why is this movie 4 times better than it was last time I saw it?" And I was like, because I think it's because I changed a lot of lyrics to support the narrative. And I was really scared because I thought, I'm Sia, I have to make something really good apparently, and I can't do anything mediocre. And it was mediocre for a couple of years. It was, and I was sick with fear. I thought, I'll just pay the $16 million back to Warner Brothers and I'll just put it on the shelf. I was like, I'm not putting out anything that isn't exceptional. I'm supposed to be Sia. Like, I'm supposed to be really, really cool. And I was really scared. So I did. It made me really sick. And I didn't get out of bed for about 3 years, except to go to the odd editing session. I mean, yeah, editing is not my thing. I love prep, directing the actors, costume design, world design, and collaborate on the set designs. And then Ryan would go to work based on the set that we created and the song, and then I would give him some direction. But yeah, I mean, this movie would be nothing without Ryan or Maddie or Kate or Leslie. And I think even I really love the director of photography too. He allowed me to be experimental, a bit more experimental than I think, because I realized during the editing process that I had made it really difficult for the editors. It wasn't their fault. It was that the way I shot it was very European and freehand. And so I hadn't made their job easy for them. So it wasn't their fault. It was my fault. It was my naivete. The first day, I said, got us in a huddle, and I said, "Hey guys, I'm so glad you're all here, and it's nice to meet you all." I said, I really want you to come to work every day knowing that we're trying to show love for all of the caregivers and for all of the people on the autism spectrum, that this movie is for them. And if we can try and keep our egos out of it, that would be great. If you have a problem, please come to me. I only had to fire 2 people, and that was pretty. And as soon as anyone brought a bad vibe, I was like, "You're fired."
Wow.
Yeah. So I really believe we ended up with the best film because we came to work every day with good intentions.
Amazing. Well, so there's a few cameos, and you are one of them. I wanted to ask about that, but also to ask about Tig Notaro is in it as a children.
She's my friend. She's the best. Listen, I love it. I love weird casting too. Like, I got Henry Rollins, who was like a childhood idol of mine, and I just thought it was wacky. I think it's fun to get wacky, and Tig is just hilarious. You put her in anything, and she's just. I mean, we were like in stitches. She just had twins, so she didn't remember any of the script. She didn't learn the script at all. So all of it was like. What was it again? So we've only got one line at a time that we can use of her. But we were in stitches when she was doing her part as the host of the Radicals. which is also, we carved out the Radicals because me and Dallas have been working on it for, I've got a tattoo that says Radicals TM that's like 10 years old, because me and Dallas have been working on a children's show called The Radicals for years. Yeah, so that's, that's going to be a real show, and she really does want to be the host. So that's going to be fun.
Amazing.
I just chose people I admired. Henry was 2 hours early for work. Like, these people are such amazing professionals. Hector Elizondo, he taught me so much. Like, he would be telling me how to direct him in the nicest way. Like, he would be like, right, so, because I would just go, okay, you all know what to do. You're all professionals. And then if it wasn't kind of how I saw it, and poor Kate got the brunt of most of my, like, and can we do another take with you? Just look, because I think probably I knew that character the best in my head. I had that character she was so clear in my head. So poor Kate always got the most sort of notes and stuff. And Leslie, I don't think I ever gave him a note, and I had to take him aside at one point and say, I just want you to know that I'm not giving you notes, not because I don't see you, but it's because you're just perfect. I was like, I just want you to know that, like, it's, I love you. You're doing an amazing job. Everyone's got an ego, and I think he wasn't complaining, but I just thought, I wonder if he wonders if he's even being noticed. But then I noticed that he's doing such a grounding, beautiful job. And then Maddie is the most professional person I've ever worked with in my whole entire life. I want to work with her till the day I die. I actually just keep writing projects for her so that I can keep her safe.
Amazing.
But yeah.
What about yourself? What about putting yourself in the film?
Oh, me. Oh, well, I mean, truthfully, when I was little, I thought I was going to be an actor. And then I just sort of singing in places like at the bus stop or when I was bartending, and people would say, you've got a really good voice. And then I ended up in, I think in Italy, and I was at a karaoke club and I sang karaoke, and this guy came up to me afterwards and he was like, hey, my name's DJ Guess. I really want to put you onto one of my house songs. And he gave me £50, and I was going to London the next day. And so I sang on something that was unlike anything I would have ever normally done. And then I got up, my cousins who were in England said, hey, there's a open mic night, you should go. And so I went, and then in front of the stage while I was singing at the something green. Oh, it was a club in London that was just a tiny little club. Anyway, there was this guy running backwards and forwards in front of the stage going, you're with me, you're with me. And afterwards he was like, I'm going to manage you. I'm in the music industry. They kind of showed me to Jamiroquai's management, and suddenly I was a singer. I was like, oh, I'm getting paid to do this, so I'm a singer. But amongst friends, I do like doing, impressions. And whenever I tell stories or I'm storytelling, I usually play the character who's I'm talking to. So I wasn't scared of it. It was just that I couldn't direct myself because I couldn't look at the monitor to direct myself. So I asked Vince, my producer, to help me, and he came and he whispered into my ear at one point, you're coming off a little bit unlikable. Is that what you want? And I was like, yes. I was like, I love P. Diddy and Get Me to the Greek, like just absolutely, like over just I wanted to be a classically over the top wanker. And so,
well, I mean, and again, I'm not giving anything away by saying that you're trying to collect a bunch of pain pills to send to Haiti where people are suffering. And you're like, Pop Stars Without Borders, like as if that's like a thing. It really is kind of brilliant. And another thing I have to say is that the fact that Kate Hudson, and again, I'm not giving anything away, you cameo in the movie. Kate Hudson realizes, her character realizes you're in the room by seeing your wigs, which I think is so interesting because it's like a layer of a relationship, a wig, you know? And the fact that she can see through that there's a person underneath it is almost like a parallel to the main story here, which is here's this person who can't speak. You know, she might as well be like an inanimate object like a wig, except there's so much going on in there. Yeah. So sorry if I'm reading a little too much into it.
You are, but I love it. That's what movies and music are for. They're for you to project your stuff onto. Like once it's finished, it belongs to you, you know?
Love it. You know, what do you hope people take away from this movie? What are you trying to put out there?
I want people to know that there's somebody in there and don't talk about them like they're not there, because they understand exactly what you're saying, even if it's not in the moment. I think it's cruel to talk about people like they're not there if they're special needs in any capacity. I also, you know, it's a love letter. I've always, I don't know why, but I've always had a thing for special, and they're called special abilities now, not special needs. People with special abilities, and also for the caregivers of those people. I want compassion, really. I want people to show compassion every day. And and so, you know, like with this movie, I wanted to make it like the old movies, you know, that like Forrest Gump and Rain Man, and you know, I short described this movie as Rain Man the musical, but with girls, because there is something about this. Look, so there's laughter, joy, sadness, devastation. What I wanted to do was like break your heart and then put it back together again and give you a Hollywood ending. I only enjoy movies that give me feelings. That like, that's why mostly I watch documentaries. So my only goal was just to make you feel like we're so out of touch with our feelings. I mean, so many of us are out of touch with our feelings. I wish I was more out of touch with my feelings. But I cry at like MasterChef Junior. So yeah, he couldn't make the carbonara sauce. He's crying. I feel so bad for him. So anyway, empathy, compassion, like I don't know, just good vibes. Good vibes. Like there's enough violence and bullshit in the world, and there's enough like you know, explosions, and you know, I wanted to make an old school movie that has chiaroscuro, which is like, you know, really it shows black and white and all the colors in between.
Mission accomplished, Sia.
Thank you.
It's so great. And I just want to say one more thing because you just brought it up, but empathy, compassion, there's this wide-eyed innocence of this character, Music, that in times like this is almost like so radically different. And it's so, just feels so nice, you know, like let's get back to that.
Pure, it's a pure.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always found with the special abilities people that I've fallen in love with is this purity.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really nice antidote to like the bad vibes that we feel day in, day out. So thank you for always bringing good vibes into our lives.
Thank you. That's my goal.
You are
goal now. And I think I'm retiring because I'm exhausted after making that movie. That was exhausting.
No. You have albums to make.
I don't think so. I'll make some songs. I'll definitely do that, but I don't think I'll ever again or do. I'm tired. And I'm great. It's great that this is like my final, like I've got more albums. I'll come out, of course. I've got them already finished, you know, but this will be my final big hurrah. Like, I'm so proud because it was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Wow. Well, hats off. Kooky hat off. And
yeah, these are socks. And then also I have some dog toys from Tulum.
Let's see. cease to surprise us. Thank you so much for taking the time and talking to us. And we just can't wait. We can't wait till music gets out to the world. Congratulations.
Thank you, Shirley. Bye.